I work in Goa with Fomento Resources, Fomento group of company. We today afternoon will be talking about the court judgment with respect to the Goan mining case, which was in the writ petition 435/2012, and what is the fallout of this judgment over the industry. This presentation will cover the Goa judgment and the Orissa judgment, and we'll just try to point out the differences, which is, as Sir was saying, there is there, and then come out with the fallout. So the issues adjudicated by the court was whether the leases held by the mining lessees have expired. That was number one. Number two, whether dump can be kept beyond the lease area, whether the dumping can happen outside the lease area. Then third was within what distance from the boundaries of National Park and Wildlife Sanctuary mining is not permissible. Fourth, whether violation of NCR rule 37 and 38 was done by lessees in Goa. Fifth was whether there was a complete lack of control on production and transportation of mineral from mining leases in state of Goa. Then extent of mining induced environmental damages and the measures to ensure intergenerational equity and sustainable development, and whether in future the mining leases are to be auctioned or have to be granted in accordance with MMDR, in accordance with the policy of the state and the provisions of MMDR Act and the MC rules. So these were the major issues which were adjudicated by the court. Now we will go one by one in this case and try to capture the highlights of the judgment. Now, with respect to the leases, whether expired or not, the court held that the deemed extension provision of Rule 24 MCR is available only for the first renewal and not for the second and subsequent further renewals. So that was one major observation made by the court. And the prayer of Goa Foundation initially was that since 1987 the leases of Goa have expired, but later on during the hearing they changed their prayer to leases not after 2007. Now, as deemed extension provision of 24(6) was held not available for second renewals, the court said that the mining leases expired on 22 November 2007 and consequently mining by lessees post that date was illegal. Now, illegal word was used in the judgment, and hence the orders of state and MOEF which were in force regarding suspension should continue. And the natural consequence of the deemed mining leases expiring, the mineral present in the state of Goa at that point of time was taken by the state and the auction proceeds were appropriated by the state. Now the summary is deemed extension provision is not available for the second and subsequent renewals. Now, the reason why they cited this was they linked it with a provision of section 8(3) of MMDR, wherein it says that if the state is wants to do for second and subsequent renewal, it has to be in the interest of mineral development and there has to be reasons for that and it has to be recorded in writing. So in all these cases, this provision and this requirement was not met and therefore he said deemed extension cannot apply. Now this is the case, as Mr. Gupta was saying, it is prevalent in the major part of the industry and therefore it has created a situation wherein most of the leases who are in second and third renewal and not have been renewed stand illegal today. Now, the second issue which says that the dump, tilling and mining reject, whether it can be kept beyond the lease area. They cited three provisions of the Act. The number one, they said that the Section 4 provides for a mining lease deed, mining to be done as per terms and conditions of a mining lease deed, and they found that there was no valid authorization under that lease deed to take the dump outside the lease area. So there was no valid authorization to take the dumps and waste outside the lease area. So therefore, the act of taking outside is unauthorized. The second thing they held, that Section 9, which is a section of charging royalty, they said that if you are taking any waste and if it has a mineral in it, you need to pay royalty on that. And if you have not paid royalty on that, it is again an unauthorized removal. And after that, they held the third thing, which was not from MMDR but from EPA, 1996, EIA notification. So as you are not done all these three, and therefore this activity of dumping outside is unauthorized. Now again, this is a practice which is in most part of the country and also in most of the minerals, wherein the dumps either in the initial stages or during the operations are kept outside, and not only dump, even the activities which are ancillary to mining, like processing units or things which are kept outside the lease becomes in a way illegal today. Now on the third question, what should be the distance of prohibition of mining beyond the national park boundaries and wildlife sanctuary boundaries, they categorically held that in one case of 2002-1995 TN Godavaran,